December saw a range of initiation homecoming ceremonies, better known as Imigidi, as documented by various people across the country. And speaking to TimesLive, traditional leader, researcher and historian Chief Jongisilo Pokwana Menziwa has raised concern on what he calls the erosion of sacred cultural practice. He says the ceremony has become somewhat of a spectacle of materialism and excess, also criticizing the steps altered to fit modernized and Western influence. He believes the spiritual and community-rooted rites of passage tradition are changing into lavish parties rather than cultural observations. And he joins us now to tell us more. Thokoza Mkhulu, thank you so much for your time.
And good morning to your viewers.
Now, Chief, before we go deeper into our conversation, when we speak about Imigidi, you've said that December was once a sacred season governed by very clear cultural processes. Are we as communities still practicing culture, or are we performing it for social status and public approval?
It is precisely the latter, to the extent that you would observe that people are, are undertaking these rituals because they are part of what is expected in a setting, in a community where they are. But individualism has set in. All cultural, rituals and customs, all cultural practices, they are meant to achieve two things in the main: to keep the people together, the community together. So it means you have to move in unison. You have to do things that are according to general acceptable norms in the village. There have always been rich people and poor people, or not so much, maybe a better word for poor, but all these generally acceptable steps in any cultural process, like the initiation practices, have to be observed and they have to be respected. So there's always been a limit to what you can do based on how much you can afford. But things have now eroded, and our concern is not about people. It's not that we are saying people must be prevented from doing what they want, what they would like to do to celebrate the moment.
Yeah.
But there should be a limit.
Yeah, let's talk about that. I mean, for viewers who may not know, what did Imigidi mean to the community before money and spectacle entered the space?
Before money and spectacle and social media, and all of this that we see, it actually used to be in the first part of the year. But because people go to school and all of them, social engineering has now evolved into an order where it is best in December. So the process would start right after the boys have finished writing, somewhere in November. And, the first process starts. So it's not about just when the boy goes into the initiation hut. The processes start from a month before. They continue throughout the period of seclusion when the boys are in the mountain. And they continue for a few days, even after the boys have come back, post the day that people now call Umgidi, which was a small thing, because the big event was when the boy goes in. So now we altered it now for the past 20, 25 years. We altered it and we took that whole big event that we do at the beginning when the boy goes into the mountain. We took it right to the end. But now with the advent of money and social media and all of that, and this individualism, Maschaba, that I'm talking about, so that if Maschaba has a boy child, he tells the family that this is what she wants to do because she has money, she can afford, she doesn't want to listen to and subject herself to the processes that the family is supposed to observe. It's not your ritual as the mother of the child. It's not your ritual, it's the ritual of the boy, and you are not the one who's solely responsible. It is the responsibility of your family working together with the community so that the community can all own, this process, because it is about integrating this child onto the next stage.
Sure.
So that the community then understands the child to have now transcended into the next stage.
And Chief, another big part of Imigidi is also, as we've been seeing, visuals on the screen, the singing and the dancing. And you say singing and dancing were never about entertainment, but they were about education. So what exactly were young people meant to learn through these songs and the movements?
You see, we've got songs that we don't know where they started. They predate our memory. Our grandfathers, I was fortunate to be brought up by my grandfather, who was born in 1904. But there are songs that are sang in the process at certain stages. Those songs are sang in order for us to preserve them, for the youth to learn how to dance to the song. What are the steps and what do these songs mean? That space has been removed, Master, because now you've got DJs, you've got a list of speakers, something that is foreign to our culture. You know, you've got this big tent, you've got this decor and all of that, and then PA systems and speakers and blasting music that are being played on the PA system. It has removed the whole thing about cultural promotion and cultural preservation. And the space now that is left is just for all of this that we see, which, you know, for those of us who understand what this ritual is supposed to do, we see this as a complete erosion. And the young now that are seeing this, they have no picture what this thing is all about.
Chief, you also warned that Imigidi has been confused with umgubo. Why is that distinction so important, and what danger lies in mixing these rituals?
So umgubo is the big event that starts when the boy goes in. It starts the day before the boy goes into the mountain, continues the whole day until the boy goes in the following morning. That umgubo actually means two important things. It means song and dance. And these rituals that are done, there are certain songs that are sung only at a specific time. And those songs are not going to be repeated again at any given time when people are just thinking that they're having fun. Now, we took that because we want to circumvent the long process and the expenses that come with it. So people now do all of that at the end. But now when they do it at the end, when the boy has come back, now they do this thing that I'm talking about. They provide no space for that umgubo. Those sacred songs that are supposed to be sang, they provide no space for it. They replace it with this thing that I'm talking about, you know, blasting music and DJs and all of this. They even hire artists, you know, to come and perform. And they call this thing Imigidi. And we're trying to understand, how does this become Imigidi? You know, Master, when we were chatting with some of the people about this, I say, you know, if Master has got 3 million rands to spend on, you know, celebrating the fact that the boy has undergone the ritual, maybe you can wait, Master, until all these cultural parts are done, which are generally accepted in your community. And then you do an event now on a separate date altogether to say that my boy is 18 years, he's come back from the mountain, I just want to do a celebration. This one is just a celebration. And then all of us will come there and enjoy your event, and we'll listen to your blasting music, we'll listen to your speakers, we'll enjoy folk and night there, and we will all have fun. But let us not do that and confuse it with the ritual that is supposed to be sustained over thousands of years to come. Because these things that we're doing, they come from thousands of years ago. As I say, they predate our memory. But now we are destroying it within a period of a few years.
Now, you also raised concerns about Imigidi having programs and speeches and formal serving of food, and you've explained why this formalization is dangerous, basically, for living tradition. Now, some families argue that these changes are simply modernization. How do you distinguish between cultural evolution and cultural erosion?
Precisely. I like that question because people want to justify cultural erosion as cultural evolution. There's nobody who's got a problem with cultural evolution. Cultures evolve. You see, if you look at the way I'm dressed now, my great-grandfathers were not dressed like this. But there are things that we sort of like take from what would have been Western, if it was Western or wherever else, and we decolonize them and we try to own them as a community so that it is generally acceptable that this is what now we are gravitating towards. But for people to single-handedly want to define a cultural practice, a sacred cultural practice, simply because they have money, they want to take their individual decisions. I can assure you, Master, of all these Imigidi that have been done in this way, you will notice that if you were to go there and drill down, you will notice that those processes happened because one individual who owns the money in that equation, who is responsible for this boy, decided that this is how I'm going to do the Umgidi of my boy. It's against our culture. As I say, when it starts in November, when it starts or a month earlier before the boys go, what happens is that the men in the village gather and discuss. There are boys that are going in. Who are these boys? What's going to happen? Which traditional surgeons are we going to use? Which traditional nurses are we going to use? What is the best time for them to go? And, all of those things. Where is the hut going to be built in the belt? All of these things are discussed by men so that they can observe the ritual as it was done to them, having been handed down from generations before.
Sure.
But if my daughter or my sister, my aunt is going to just come and say, well, I'm the one who holds the purse here, and this is what's going to happen, then we are going to have these problems that we see.
Now, Chief, in your view, does Isiko Eli, as it's practiced today, still serve its original purpose of grounding young men in identity and discipline and community?
To an extent, it does. You know, Maschaba, we are in a very rotten society at the moment. So I get people saying, I don't expect a policeman to behave like this. I don't expect a traditional leader to behave like this. Forgetting that all of us will come from this society that is so broken. And so we can't use the rotten apples, exclusively the rotten apples, to analyze what a particular cultural setting is like, or what particular rituals are they able to achieve, what is intended. Because the opposite of that would be to look at all the other men who are well-behaving, who are concerned about these things that are happening, that are eroding this culture, and say, but let's also give them an ear, because they are concerned, because they would like it to be protected because of what it has done to them. So it's an individual thing to change, to transcend, to become anew, to become better, to have aspirations in life, and to want to behave in a way that is exemplary. That is an individual decision. The ritual itself, everything is imparted to you. We do everything. The men, they talk to the boys when they come back. The women, they talk to the boys, the elderly women of the village. They go there and talk to the boys about what is expected in the stage that you are at. Some of them, they take it. Some of them become what we see in society.
Now, I'd like to ask you this before we let you go, Chief. The Deputy Mayor, Nokuzola Kolwapi, was caught on camera wielding a gun. I don't know if you know about that incident. I mean, we've got visuals that we're showing on the TV right now. Yeah. What are your thoughts about this particular incident?
If it is true, it is wrong on many levels.
It's true. It's true. We are seeing it on the TV. We are playing the visuals.
I've seen it.
Although she denied it subsequently and said that it was a toy gun.
It was a toy gun. Even if it was a toy gun, let's just say, for argument's sake, it was a toy gun, it's still wrong.
Yeah.
You know, Maschaba, there is a certain way that as the mother of the boy, you are expected to behave. There is a certain way that as a woman, as a dignified elderly woman, you are expected to behave. And so this thing is wrong at all levels. If you look at it at face value and say, well, it was a toy, it was a proper gun, it was just wrong. And this is the thing, that these are the things that have emerged, which have contaminated the cultural practice. If you look at, for instance, Maschaba, there are other videos, women gyrating there with friends, drinking from the bottle, It is frowned upon for a woman to drink alcohol, because we expect them to at least hold the moral order of a family, of society, so that they can keep society in check. The men are the leaders of the homes, of our households, of communities, but the women are the vanguard. So the vanguard has to behave accordingly. The vanguard can't be the one that is holding alcohol, drinking there, passing a bottle around. Imagine if you've got your 14-year-old daughter there, watching you, Mastaba, and 10 of your friends doing that. What does she aspire to do? She aspires, because it's cool, it's now on social media, she aspires to do the same because it seems to be acceptable, it seems to be a cool thing to do. Then what kind of society are we giving back to? So these things are just wrong. It is a behavior that is totally unacceptable.
Chief, shoo, thank you so much for your time this morning. We really appreciate it.